Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, and Miguel Porter is joining me today on the show, not only as a guest, but as a future co-host. Miguel, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
This is a huge announcement. We're going to get so many messages, emails, carrier pigeons. People are going to be like, when's Miguel coming on again? When we doing the next show? Like, I do feel like you're a podcaster now in this 30 seconds that I've announced it. You're going to change your Instagram bio, podcaster.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. Permanent co-host is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is exciting. It'll be nice to have someone to bounce things back and forth with. That isn't like just like a structured interview or anything like that. And what we're gonna do in this episode is we're gonna do a little mini recap of some of the bigger meets that have gone on this year for the Albany CrossFit Barbell Club, which I see you got your blanket right there. That's awesome. Now I got to put mine over here too. I'm gonna steal that next time. But we're going to start by talking about the Arnold. And you were the first up. You're typically the first up at the Arnold because you go on Thursday and you're typically in the 61 kilo weight class, either the A or B session. Your very first time was the B session, and then last two times have been A. Uh, from an athlete perspective, how were you just going into it? Like, it's your third time stepping on a national stage. So far, all three times have been at the Arnold. Compared to first time to now, were the nerves different? Was your mindset any different? You had some big goals that we were trying to accomplish. So talk about your experience.
Yeah, I would say probably highest expectations I've had for myself going into this level of a meet. The first time around, you're kind of just happy to be there. You don't know what to expect, so you can't really have too many expectations.
You just taking in the whole
Um,
experience of because it is there's three platforms, big ballroom, a lot of different colors, so many people. You're also seeing the quote weightlifting stars in America. So there's a lot to take in that first time.
yeah, for sure. And last year kind of felt like an upward trajectory going into the Arnold, having like a couple meets before that were going well, okay, but in upward trajectory. Again, not really because it's such a level jump, I would say, from like a local meet. Still going into it that time as kind of just happy to be there, putting up my numbers, running my race. And this year was a little bit different just because we had been eyeing some numbers, like qualifying total,
Yeah, we,
to
we were looking
hopefully,
at the qualification total for the national championships,
right.
which is pretty
And
cool because year one at the Arnold, which, well 2020, that your first Arnold visit, we were there just kind of like, all right, this is great. We're here. We got invited to the party and we're going to enjoy it. Even though at that point the world was changing. Now, this time, you're literally using the Arnold, not necessarily as a complete stepping stone, but now you're starting to get into this level of your ability as an athlete where you are using some meets that others considered really big as a means to get to another even bigger meet. It's pretty cool.
right. And we had numbers in mind. It would have been great. And depending on how Warmos felt and how I felt going in and everything, I was hoping for at least a chance to put those numbers on the bar. And whether we made it this time or not, it would kind of be a tester to see how the year would progress. And I would say, and at the end of it all, it did kind of give us a way to look at the rest of the year. Not exactly in the way that I don't think that you or I really expected it to go, but yeah, all the same, expectations were definitely different this time going in. Um, Going in a little bit more aggressive, I would say.
Yeah, I think it went very, very well. Well enough that here we are. We've got some medals draped around our neck. So that's awesome. Great performance. We got some a bronze in the snatch and bronze in the total. In a future show, we may talk about possible changes to this result if we ever hear back. But some things have happened in the world of weightlifting that may actually change that in your favor. And then we have the snatch performance. So we were putting serious weights on the bar. The 90 kilo snatch here in the video is a PR opener. We've never done more than that. And it's also a kilo heavier than anything you've ever lifted at this meet in 3 visits. So what do you think about how that went? And then what are your thoughts on the 94 and the 95 after that? Because obviously we needed somewheres up into the mid 90s to help put us in a good position on the clean and jerk to qualify for nationals.
Right. And it's interesting going for or aiming for numbers that you've never even hit because you have to earn them. So similar to if anybody's been keeping up with international weightlifting as people are trying to qualify for the Olympics, we've seen different strategies along this quad of people opening with a PR and the ups and downs that come with that.
Yeah.
So if they hit it, that's great. Now the jump to the next weight is a little bit easier. But if they miss it, it seems like a mistake, like they open too heavy. But in order to get those qualifying numbers, you're going to have to take those shots regardless. So it's kind of been our trend as we go meet to meet to also up our openers for the most part.
Yep.
So 90 was a part of that progression. I in looking at it currently, I would say that it was pretty easy. It
I
seems to
would
be
agree.
a smooth lift, but again, when your second attempt is then a all-time PR, no matter how you're feeling that day, it'll still be a tough thing to go into.
Yeah. I think in the history of our team, I think you are the first person to kind of be in this type of situation with the openers. Normally, we always have at least a lift or two for a little bit of a runway to get to the weight that we need to qualify for something. But we were really going after it at this meet, and that could put a lot of pressure on a person because of course, like the Arnold's big. Like we drove 10 hours to get out there. We had been training for this meet. We'd been planning for months to go there, right? So it could be really easy to open up. All right, let's open with 87. Then we'll go 90 or 91, and then we'll go for like that number. So did you feel a lot of pressure being in this situation just because of the gravity of the meet and the situation? I know sometimes when people go to meets, they feel bad about bombing out or not doing the way they want to, and then they start talking about like how much the ticket cost. I had to pay $50 to do that meet, and I didn't make my lifts, so now it doesn't seem worth it. Which I don't agree with, and I'm sure you don't. But how do you feel about that whole situation?
Yeah, it's tough because I also knew that going into each of these 3 attempts, okay, if I don't make my opener, maybe our jump in the second attempt has to be a little bit higher. After missing the second attempt, knowing that we still had to go up, because in my mind, I was hoping for, let's say, 97 as a third attempt, which again, at the time was 4 kilos over my max that I've ever done. Still now is 3 kilos over.
Yep.
Uh, and you have to earn it because I didn't want to then rely so much on my clean and jerk. So maybe we could have gone a little bit more conservative on second and third attempt, but either way, that would make my clean and jerk a little bit tougher, because no matter how it was going, I wanted to at least put some of these numbers on the bar to see where I was in comparison to those qualifying numbers.
Yeah. And I think you hit 90 so convincingly, and I'm sure it felt good to you that 94 just seemed right. It's like, especially if the end goal was 97, which I do remember that now. Um, if we go 93, then one that ties your PR. So like there's like so many elements to this on like, all right, do we want to get, tie the PR, all that stuff. But then now if we want to go 97, we have to take a bigger jump to not to a 4 kilo jump. So it's like it'd be better to hit 94 and then take a quote smaller jump to 97 just to give you the best, statistically chance to hit it. And 94, you missed that, but it wasn't like a crazy miss either, Like had you said let's go 97, I don't think I would have disagreed with you, you know. But also at the same time, I don't think staying at 94 after you missed it on the second attempt was good either, because now we have to try to split the difference. All right, if we're going to be stuck with 90 anyways, we might as well go for 95 because 94 still wasn't that bad. And that still helps us with the clean and jerk in the end, because the clean and jerk was the real villain here overall.
Yeah, and the 90 was convincing enough to me that we make that bigger jump now.
Yeah.
And missing 94, it was a miss that was me just not being fully set. It didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel like I couldn't have made that lift. It was really just me not getting set the way that I typically would, which then fed into the third attempt and timing out there,
Yeah.
because I was trying to make sure that I was set as possible.
And there was 94 right there. 9 seconds left on the clock. Got your hands on it at around 17. I've noticed it's only at the Arnold that the clock gets cut so close for you. Like, is that just because there's a staircase and there's the stairs, or the stage is upraised and it kind of takes longer to get there than like a local meet where you just walk right next door.
That's certainly a part of it. I always question when I watch international competition, because sometimes they have this long ramp that each athlete has to walk up, and their warm-up rooms seem so large that it doesn't feel like the same minute that we have,
Yeah.
because they're able to get there and do the lift within that time. This is, I feel like we're kind of spoiled in other meets as well, where I'm like at a regional, I'm typically following myself, especially in the snatches. So I have more time. Something like the Arnold, numbers can get switched around. I can think that I'm in a couple attempts, then be the next one up. Things switch around so that, yeah, it's a little bit tougher to have an idea of where the clock is going to be at when you actually step onto the stage.
Yeah. I think it was like a little tiny laptop or something to your right. There's 95. So that 95, it was going. Do you think you just didn't do enough with it at the top end, or did it
Well,
start to feel heavy at that point?
the buzzer also went off
Oh, that's right.
at, so you can see I start to lift off about a half second after I hear the buzzer.
That's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, that certainly threw me off enough to, again, not an attempt that felt too heavy or anything, but at that point when you see that like orange light and the sound going off at that same moment that you're pulling it, it'll definitely throw that off.
Do you think if you got it, they would have just hit the buttons and given it to you? Like I'm wondering like what would have happened for
Now
sure.
that I look at the video, it is really close. I don't think I pass, the shins, but It's not as late as I thought it was.
I wonder, I don't know, we probably can't hear the audio on this. I can't I vaguely remember like yelling yelling something or saying something like go go go.
I think you said something around 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's so someday you'll be on the other side where you're like holding the camera and you're holding it like chest height and you're like maybe one hand is touching your chest and you don't realize it like in the moment when you stop breathing or your heart is like racing like really, really a lot. I remember I remember being really stressed around the 10-second mark and nothing was going on yet.
Yeah,
But
that was
hey,
certainly just me overcorrecting from the second attempt,
yeah.
not being fully set up in my regular setup. And yeah, that was the result this time around. But
Well, hey, next time it'll be different. And none of those looked heavy. And I do think, it just would have changed the whole mindset of everything. Again, opening up with something in the 80s. At some point, we want to be opening in the 90s. Then at some point, opening in the hundreds. It's just a progression to get there. Now on the clean and jerks, totally different story. On just the plan, it says here we hit 100 twice, missed the first time, made the second time. Then we made a jump to 105 just to try to get some extra kilos. But that was not the plan at all. I can't even remember what we were thinking about opening at. It might have been 105, right? Or 107,
106.
106. Okay. So why don't you talk about that? This was a little bit different.
Yeah, it was something new that really began in, I want to say the last month before the Arnold, which is really just me kind of passing out during clean and jerks. And yeah, once we get past a certain weight,
It's
it
like
would seem to
93 or
happen.
something, right?
Right. Above 90 is typically when it would start to happen. And we couldn't really figure out exactly what it was at the time because some days it would happen, some days it wouldn't. Um,
Well, not only that, like, I mean, it just happened recently in training where you're throwing around weights well above 90 for multiple reps, multiple cleans and jerks, no problem. But yet we try to do one clean and jerk, in its full entirety, and that is a problem at not just this meet, but at the regional too. But I think we learned what one it could possibly be a breathing thing, right? Maybe we're holding our breath too much and maybe we have to let a little bit of air out as we stand. It could, but it also could be a blood pressure thing. It could be a nutrition thing with your sodium. And also you did have a stressful weight cut going down to 61 for the Arnold. And now you're officially retired from 61 unless unless you change your mind and decide to go through those cuts again.
Barring something crazy, extraordinary happening, I don't see myself cutting to 61 anytime soon, at least. Um, but I would say looking back, there are some factors that I can see contributing for I take a pre-workout that's like sort of a pre-workout. It's from Air Supplements. It's just called In Focus. So it's a type of pre-workout, but not in the regular sense. Like I don't think it's as aggressive because I've never been really the person to take a pre-workout or anything. So
Was the
I
reason you
find
decided
that
to start for this one because of the cut?
no, it's something that I take every now and then. Um, Typically like before a Friday session where maybe we're maxing out a position or a certain type of lift, something like that to give myself a little bit more. And it works really well for snatches. I like a really fast heart rate for snatches. I find that that helps me. But when we get to clean and jerks, I think my body kind of maybe overheats even. Like there's too much going on. You're already tired, your adrenaline's really going from snatches. Clean and jerks are obviously more of an energy expenditure.
It's definitely a lot more physical having that bar on your chest versus just overhead in one motion. Then not only that, but after you stand up after the clean, you still have to keep it there and then perform a whole second movement. So it's definitely a lot more stressful physically. And I can only imagine, it's like you're going through highs and lows in a very short amount of time, but it's spread out enough that by the time you get to your last clean and jerk, how you supposed to do it at that point.
And I think also our session being pushed back an hour
Yep, there's an hour delay.
also kind of contributed to that. I feel like maybe I took it too early. So I think my heart was racing earlier than it typically would.
Okay, I didn't even realize that. We weighed in, we waited a while. I think we went to the training hall, just kind of hung out over there with Shaf and Renee, and then we went to the warm up room. And I can't remember when we found out that you guys are going to be really delayed. I didn't really think about it when we got over there, and some of the kids in the previous session were still snatching. I just like I was like, oh, they're going to be done any second now because we're supposed to start at 1 or whatever. And then we got word that they're like 45 minutes to an hour behind, and they were like just starting the snatches or just in the middle of them. When during all that did you take your pre-workout?
I believe before we walked over.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it was too late at that point.
Yeah, that's rough. There's there's no coming back after that.
And I typically take it all in one go. Like I don't fill up my water bottle and then mix it in there. I kind of just dump in the powder and then a little bit of water and just kind of
Chug it.
chug that so that it all gets to me. So yeah, it was too late at that point. I was like laying flat on the ground to kind of slow everything down, but things were picking up while we were just there waiting. So that also contributed for sure.
And I never had this experience myself, or at least I never noticed it because after training, I would just go right into coaching CrossFit classes. So it's like the energy is still high. But after you take a pre-workout, do you normally after training like get kind of like a you got the big high and then a big down, right? Does it come with like a big downer after?
I think the down goes along with clean and jerks. Like I make jokes about me only having like two clean and jerks left in me by the end of a session because I can almost feel it going away as well.
Hmm.
Um, because clean and jerks take so much energy that you can almost feel the pre-workout that you took really being used.
You can
And
feel
by the last
the
one,
power leaving you.
right, you can tell that you used it all up.
Well, that's rough. And that hey, we made adjustments, I think I probably asked you a million times, if you want to go down and wait for the opener. Because again, we were going to open at 106, and then I'm assuming we probably would have jumped to like 110 or 111, and then we needed to get up to 114 or 115. And you have to factor in the snatches too, like had we gotten to like 95 or 97. But when after all my asking, when did you realize yes, we need to go down? It was after one of those warm-ups, right?
Right. So it started looking bad at 70, which is I don't have many clean and jerk warm-ups. So that was like my second.
Yes. Or
That
70 could have been the first one. You only have like
right.
4 clean and jerk warm-ups.
So it wasn't looking good, and it's not like we could pause everything else that was going on with the meet. The meet was still going on. So as we were pausing to give me a little bit more time, we still had to take the other warm-up attempts. So hoping it's just a fluke, because we have also seen with my passing out that I may it may happen one time and we load up the same weight 30 seconds later and I make it no problem. So we kind of just kept on adding and saw that the same thing was happening. So eventually, based on what weight was on the platform and where we were at, I think I think I missed 70 or 80 and then sort of made it again after trying it again. And I think that was the last made lift that we had before we had to go onto the platform. So we
Yeah.
dropped
And
down
I think
to
I was asking
100.
you as well, do you want to withdraw? And I know no one wants to, like you don't want to hear that, but like at that point, like, all right, I'm getting concerned. Of course, your safety and health is way more important than going out and making attempts and whatnot. And luckily, we have a relationship where that like if we have to change the plan, I'm not upset about it. Like I'm here for you, So it's like if you want to try, we can try within reason. If we got to withdraw, no problem. I'm not going to be upset. The rest of the team's not going to be upset. Oh well, I won't speak for all of them. Yeah, but it's you know you have that knowledge with you, right? That like if we have to make these changes, it's cool. Like we're just rolling with the punches because on that day we got punched in the face. So we have to get back up and figure out what we're going to do. And now at that point, any option is an okay option.
And I knew that I had one in me. And I was fairly certain that it was only one. So I was hoping, I think if we made my first attempt, that maybe I would have withdrew after that.
Mhm. Got the
But
total.
going out there and missing it and kind of passing out again out there, I knew, even walking off the platform, I knew that I could hit that weight. In my mind, I think that I was figuring it out, like how to channel whatever energy I had left in me that I could make the next attempt. So yeah, after missing that first attempt, we go to the back room and you ask me if I want to withdraw or if I want to call medical. Um, and of course I refuse because that's also the type of person that I am. And we think that maybe we have more time, but I think someone then jumps. So I'm right back out there. I'm pretty sure I followed myself
Yep,
going for the
you
second
did.
attempt
And
without a
Joe T
two-minute
asked
clock.
me, he was speaking, Joe T. Anyone in the weightlifting world knows Joe Triolo. He's like, do you want medical? And I was like, is that gonna buy us more time? And then he's like, no. And I'm like, then no, we don't. We're not gonna be able to do that. And that was your one of your biggest like you had a couple dizzy spells in the back, and then of course you dropped the weight. I think it just under the spotlights, it looked a lot worse, to people. When you were going out for 100 the second time, was any of that in your head? Because like now, like it just happened on the big stage on the live stream. Everyone's watching to see how this is gonna go down at that point. Did that affect you at all? Or maybe did that pump you up to hit the lift?
Yeah, I think it has the opposite effect where I have to show everyone that this weight isn't too heavy. What's happening almost has nothing to do, I guess you could say, with me. But yeah, it's going out and then proving that this is a weight I can hit anytime, any day.
Yeah.
What's happening with me passing out is completely separate from where my strength is. So
Exactly. It's out of your
yeah, kind
control.
of just, yeah, for sure. And I think that's why this whole passing out thing has been like my greatest enemy, because I felt pain while lifting. And that's, I wouldn't say it's fine, but that's something that you can push through. When you're passing out, there's really no fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think at I mean Haley had a similar issue going on, and I think both of you guys is passing out are for two completely different reasons. But you guys both had me doing a box jump during the meet because I think it was your last one or maybe it was the 100. One of them, I jumped on the stage and I ran over to you, or I fast shuffled towards you.
Oh no, I
Um,
think that was actually Schaff that you hopped up on.
oh, was that Schaff?
Right,
Okay.
it was Schaff.
Was
We
I
all
on
had
stage three times or
things,
twice?
I think just twice.
Okay, all right. All right. So maybe for you, you were still conscious enough just to come right off and just
Right.
be
I
more
don't think,
furious than anything.
yeah, I don't think yeah, because my third attempt, I think I did enough to make it just look like a miss instead of I'm about to pass out again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, overall, a good show, a different kind of showing at the Arnold. That was our first time again hitting 90, and the clean jerk was just kind of out of our hands. We did our best with it, and at all points we were ready for any option. On if it went away, all right, let's go up. If it feels okay, if not, drop it down, and or withdraw if we needed to. And you walked away with two medals. So I mean that's huge. You're the first person on the team outside of Kim to medal at a national or higher level meet. So that's pretty cool. You were tested by USADA afterwards, and everything's all good there. Where they confirmed it that Miguel is legit and clean. So that's also that's also exciting. So you're also the first on the team to pass the drug test. So that's exciting. Not that anybody actually, no, I'm sorry. Kim would have done that as well at the high level masters meets, but at these types of meets, you are the first.
Big honor. It felt, honestly, it felt bigger than the medals, to be honest.
Did it really?
It kind of did.
What was going through your head when they asked you, like, excuse me, Mr. Porter, I'm from USADA. You have to come with me.
Well, if you remember, it was such a shift in, I think, emotionally where all of us were, because I don't think we were 100% sure on how the podium was gonna kind of end up.
Yeah.
So after my last clean and jerk, as I'm taking off my shoes, we're all talking about me heading to the medical tent afterwards. And as we're having that conversation, someone comes over and just tells us to stay put so that because most likely I'm getting tested. So it was an immediate shift into, oh, I'm on the podium. I'm getting a medal.
Yeah.
Cool. Forget all
And
that other stuff that was going on.
when that guy came over, or I think it was the lady and the guy, I actually thought they were from medical at first. Like at first
Same.
glance,
Right.
I was like, oh, okay, someone told them, or they just noticed, and they just wanted to come and check on you to make sure you're okay.
Right. That's what it seemed like. But yeah, the testing was unexpected.
Yep.
But it's also good when you know that you're good.
Yeah. You're not like
Obviously,
nervous about anything.
I'm not taking anything, but also having a supplement brand that I know is like good. It has the logo on it for the testing, and I know that everything I'm taking is clean. So not even worried about a potential tainted test or something like that.
Boy, is that a big test for them, right? In that moment where you're
Yeah.
like, hey, I know the label's there. That label better be legit. What's the name of
Well,
the
it
brand
was
again?
Uh, it's like Bear supplements, Bear Nutrition.
Bare.
Right.
Well, we know they're legit now. And so you got tested by USADA and you were featured on USA Weightlifting's Instagram page, which is this photo right here. Like you were just all over the place.
Right. Those first 2 days really felt like celebrity status, honestly.
I'm
And it
like,
made it took away kind of some of my, I guess you could say, disappointment in how my results ended up, knowing that like this is such a big stage and I'm in a position where not many people get to,
yeah.
even though it was arguably my worst competition I've ever had, ever. It's still
Roughest clean and jerk for sure.
right. It still was good overall.
And everybody did good. We had a great time. Renee, we've got Renee's videos right here. Renee hit a PR, 58 kilos in the snatch. And then on the clean and jerk, we made one. We got a total. We're happy about that. And the total was an improvement in competition and also for the Arnold, just because I think it's cool to have like meet specific PRs too. So if we're going
Right.
to keep going back to these things, we're of course trying to improve overall, but at the meet as well. And so Renee did great. I know there was some controversy. I still have not seen the front facing video of Renee's final clean and jerk. Which here, all right, let's take a second to look at the snatch. This is 58 kilos. We had tried 57 the year before, and we did not get it officially. I believe we stood up with it. We just didn't. It was a press out.
Right.
Right there, I was nervous. I was so nervous. I was once you started to see that wobbling, I was like, please just drop it in front because I was a little nervous that it could fall behind. And it's just funny how in a little fight like that, they already gave you the down signal, but if it just goes the wrong direction, it's all gone. It's just weightlifting can be a harsh sport sometimes. But let's go to the 75 clean jerk. We made that one. Let's just see if you and I from this side profile can pick anything out here. Shout out to that big dude behind the plates too. He was loading everywhere. He's like the master loader.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Strong clean. Fantastic clean if you know Renee's history in the 70 kilo range. Boom. I really don't see anything on the right side. I mean, I know we're at a angled profile here, but if anything's going on, it had to have been the left arm, right?
Yeah, I assume because when you went out there, I actually typically stay where the warm-ups are happening and I watch on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I did see the front view.
Oh,
Um, and there it's tough because it's any sport where judges are involved. It's to their discretion.
yeah,
So there's not much that we can do. But yeah, we can see here that maybe there's movement. Like she didn't stick it, but movement isn't a no lift.
yeah. It is like slightly forward in the initial catch and then gets pushed back,
Right.
but like very, very briefly. This would be a situation where it would be cool if there were challenge cards available at this level. Of course, there's no jury. I think that this is maybe an example if nothing was happening in the front by your eye, that this could be maybe one of those lifts that gets overturned by a jury if there's one there. We would hope.
Right. Because I'm not sure on how they called it, if it was two red or all three red, but I think it was one of those moments where they just saw movement. And I think a jury would see it and noticed that, again, movement doesn't necessarily mean a no lift.
Yeah. And not for nothing. I mean, we know we've talked about it. This is a very stressful meet for officials. It's very chaotic. Everyone's very tired. It's already been a long, long week. I just if that is the case, I just wish that there were ways that it doesn't affect the athlete, because like it's not the athlete's problem that we're tired or underfed or thirsty or have been working too many sessions because there aren't enough officials. So it's like you would hope it wouldn't be transferred to the athlete. That's just all you'd hope for. Well, great job, Renee. Uh, in our hearts, it's a good lift. And one of these days, I will look up the archive video just to finally see it. Schaff, great job for Schaff. PR opener for Schaff, 104 kilos. And then we were chasing down some lifetime PRs. And then he did get a lifetime PR on the 135 clean and jerk. And then we fought valiantly for 137. So there's his 104. I think Schaff was looking great at this meet. Let's take a look at this 104 one more time. When he wants to, he can be so fast.
Right. And his training was going really well leading up as well.
Yep. And then we went for the 107s. We didn't get him. That's okay. And you'll notice by the computer screen in the back, he also pushes the boundaries of the clock. But let's go to, so this was an interesting thing on, it might have just been the pace that we were going in the back room for the clean and jerks. But I was surprised that we missed the opener at 132. And I mean, again, like I don't see anything there, but like I probably have a horrible angle, like I think that there was a press out on the right arm, right?
Yeah, there was, and there were quite a few press outs within the session.
So they
So
were looking.
I think they were already looking out for exactly that.
Do you think that is that a thing? I mean, it's not a thing for me, like when I'm officiating. But do you think that there's possibly a thing where um an athlete comes out and they have a big press out and then now everyone's like awake again and heightened alert to like be looking for press outs, or if like you miss a call, so now you judge the next lift harder. I guess if that is the thing, is that fair?
I think that's what any sport or any event that has judges comes with.
Yeah.
I think MMA is similar, where they have judges scorecards or boxing, and maybe they see something and they score it one way and see how that affects the end results at the end of the fight. And maybe because of that, they change the way that they do it in the next fight that they score and things
Yeah.
like that. I think also for weightlifting, sometimes you get sessions that are super easy, meaning a no lift falls on the floor
Yeah.
every single time. You know a no lift, and the athlete knows it's a no lift. And then there are some sessions where, yeah, a lot of calls have to be made
It's more
because the
nuanced.
lift, right, the lift is completed each time, but to varying degrees.
I think you're right, and I bet it fluctuates session to session. Like if you're on an A session, those are going to be people that are going to be able to connect with lifts and hang on and still do stuff with it. And you got to be like, oh, I don't think that elbow was locked out. And it's like it happens so fast. And but then maybe if you're in like more of like a G session, like it's either going up or it's not going at all, and they make your life easier.
And I think Schaaf's weight class as well is, as the men's sessions start to get heavier in weight, I think that's something that you might see more often because you have really strong guys who are able to complete those lifts, but they're not always stuck. And because of their bigger size, they can kind of get away with pressing it out. Whereas more like my session, it's a little bit tougher for the smaller people to even press out.
Yeah. Hey, that's a nice compliment you just gave Schaff. He's a really strong guy.
He is,
Yeah, he
and
is.
he knows that for sure.
And here he is with a PR 135, 1 kilo PR. And let me tell you, and he's been waiting for a PR on the clean and jerk since the Arnold before this, because he hit 134 the year prior. So it's like not only is strong Schaff strong physically, but he is very strong mentally when he wants to be. To wait a year to get a 1 kilo PR is not an easy thing. That right there is when people start to quit the sport, when the results come really, really slow for whatever reason. And of course, there's been all kinds of things that happen within the course of the year connecting these two meets for Schaff, but it's a great testament to his patience and will to keep improving, to hang out and keep doing it, right?
Definitely.
And if we take a look at 137, this is the most heartbreaking of heartbreak lifts, because you and I know how much Schaff wanted this lift. And he showed it on the platform. 137, 300 pounds, smoked the clean. He would have got it. Oh, just. And then I jumped up there. So yeah, it was so close. He just needed one extra second and just to get the down signal, right?
Right.
Try to look. Where do you think it happened? It's
He was having a very
right there. It's a little forward.
forward jerk
Yeah.
type of day, like with the 135 make as well. He walks to the end of the platform. So I think it's one of those situations where if he starts his lift at the back of the platform, I think he gets that lift.
You think so right here?
Right, because I think the sudden stop as he's walking forward and then trying to rebalance.
He probably could have taken another step forward, but
Yeah,
like from our perspective, it looks like he does have some runway room for him with 300 pounds overhead. He's like, oh crap, there's the edge.
yeah.
And then he tried to go the other way. Let me tell you, if he made that lift, the roof would have been blown off of the entire convention center. Arnold would have been like, what's going on over there? And we'd have to show him the video, the whole thing. And he's like, why don't you just do it better? That's my horrible Arnold impression. So great job, Schaff. And Haley. Haley finished us out. We made some snatches. We finished with 75, and then we did what we could do on the clean and jerk. Haley had been battling some wooziness, dizziness type things going on in her lifting, like we mentioned before. That was just crush 70. Like and that was going into the meet. We were thinking about opening up at 68, just because, just to get a score on the board. And then she was going to let me know if she feels good that we go up. And then we went to 74 and we didn't quite connect with it. I think she said, I could be remembering wrong, that she just didn't do enough with it. Hard to remember. It's like one of those lifts where you're like, I only kind of want it. I only kind of like,
And I think that happens a lot with second attempts. I
yeah.
think I see that the most often, making an easy first attempt and going into the second one, almost forgetting everything that you're supposed to do.
Well, it's like the first attempt is one of the most stressful parts about the entire sport, because if you don't get it, now there's so much pressure on the next one. Then if you don't get the second attempt, oh boy, now the third attempt is really stressful because you could bomb out.
Right.
And then so you're saying once you get the first attempt, whew, all right, we can breathe now, we can relax. and then all of a sudden second attempt misses might creep in.
Yeah, I think so.
But hey, she rallied back. We went up a kilo. What do you think about going up a kilo there? Like, it's of course it's risky. It didn't look like she missed it too bad on 74. And you know kind of how I feel about not dying on a certain weight. You know, if we're going down, why not try for an extra one? But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think this is the exact reason why for my snatches, we also went up a kilo after missing. I mean, it was 94 to 95, while here it's 74 to 75. And
Yep.
she just makes her third attempt and I don't, but it's the same idea where we know how the lift feels, and you can also see how the lift looks when we miss that second attempt. And you have to earn numbers, I guess you could say. So it's like when you want us to rate our makes, and that kind of determines what our next jump is. Same thing with a miss. You can't miss and then still go up 4 kilos.
Yeah.
But if it's a quote unquote good miss, then there's no reason to stay at that same weight. So if you want to
I
bump up a kilo, then yeah, go ahead, bump up a kilo. And in this case, it works out.
and that's where asking for feedback so important. You know, like I know there's a lot of coaches out there that are just like, oh, go sit down. I'm just going to decide. But you know, it's one thing for me to see. I'll go back to it. 74. It's one thing for me to see this and make a judgment call. You know, because if it's just me, well, all right, it looked good, but then you could also be like, well, it didn't get high enough. So maybe it did get heavy, you know. And of course, I would rate a miss behind better than a miss in front. But until I get that feedback from Haley on like, and she's just like, oh yeah, I just didn't try on that one, or you know, like I just got too loose, or I didn't do enough with it. Then I don't know the whole story, right? So it's like, why wouldn't I talk to you guys? And even though I know sometimes you guys are like, you don't want to talk about it, like you just want the decision to be made. So I guess give me your athlete's perspective on that. On like, I have one side of the story and it's mine from 20 feet away on a camera. Like, so, you know, of course I'm seeing things and I know what it could be happening, but until I get your feedback, I feel like it's kind of hard to actually make a real decision.
Yeah, I think currently where at least I would say the four of us that were at the Arnold this year, that we have enough of a rapport that I think we're all on the same page. At least with a meet like this, I think there are other meets where maybe people try to do different things or we go in with a plan and change it. But
Yep.
yeah, I think we're typically on the same page. I think it's also like our almost like a club culture as well, where we all make similar moves.
Yeah.
So I think whatever you typically have in your head is also how we feel in the moment.
Yeah. Like for you, it would have been like if after you hit 100 on the clean and jerk, for you know, in my head like 105 is like the max, you know, that I could see us going up after that and everything else. So if you would have been like 115, it would be like, all right, I don't I don't think that's going to happen, Miguel. Like I have to be painfully honest with you. You're not going to make 115 today, you know.
Right.
Um, do you want to go out there and deadlift it? You know, so I think we are pretty all on the same page. And I would agree that if this was a newer person, then maybe I would have just made the call on my own, you know. Um, and then we have our awesome group photo. Look at that. Look at those shirts designed by Anna Oberkircher, local lifter out here in Capital District, and they came out great. And I think we finally found the USA Lifting backdrop. This is one of my favorite photos. It came out so well.
Yeah, it really did.
Everyone looks good. Is that my screen? Is that a thing on Schaff's shirt? Oh, it is. There's a little thing on Schaff. All right, well, we got a photo edit that out. Never realized that before. Uh, but yeah, great meet. the Arnold is always a fun experience. Any closing thoughts on the Arnold?
Um, it seems as though perhaps this iteration of the Arnold team that could have been our last hurrah as just the five of us. Um, I
Yeah,
do feel
we got
like,
two group photos a year apart right here.
yeah, exactly. And we've run our course. I do feel like I set the tone just because I am the first person to lift. I don't know if I kind of muddied the water as we went through our week, but I think all overall it was a great weekend. Um, yeah, the Arnold is always it's fun to have a multi-day event where we can all hang out and be around each other. Like Renee's not training with us in the same gym, so it's good to see her and be around her for an extended period of time and an extended period of time for all of us. We get a couple hours a few times a week, but this is like staying in the same place and everyone running around, driving together, going here and there. So it was a really it was a really good time.
Yeah, it's always a fun time. There was a moment there where I thought you were going to say, "I'll be back."
Oh, well, that's the thing. Will we
Will we? We will.
leave the ellipses at the end of that?
We will find out. You know, we had a little gap between 2020 and 2022. No, 2023. Yeah. So we
Right.
went in 2023 and then 2024. So there's nothing that says that the team's got to go back every year. You know, we'll see what people want to do. And of course, we are trying to qualify for bigger events that you know, we would hopefully get closer and closer to doing that. And who knows what will happen with the Arnold itself, you know, on you know, just changes to the event. But overall, it is a lot of fun, you know, hanging out with you guys and seeing you guys lift on the big stage and also be celebrated a little bit by USA Weightlifting. They posted to you onto their page, and then Schaff got interviewed by the local news, which someday I'll hopefully find that archived video somewhere. Oh boy, when I do, it's going to be great if I am able to, because I know he doesn't want to see it. But it was pretty cool. The news was all over Schaff. He was the darling in the warm up room, you know, and they wanted just to get him on the camera, and then they interviewed him. So I think that there's probably no better person to interview in the back warm up room than Schaff. I don't know everyone else back there, but possibly the friendliest person you're going to find back there. He said a I do remember he said a lot of nice things. So that was
We
good.
we brought the personality within that training hall at that time. They had no other option. They had no better option than us in
That's right.
that moment. Schaff specifically.
Yeah. Although they did interfere with one of his warm up clean jerks, so one of his working sets. There was a but hey, that's kind of on Schaff. He's got to keep the focus even when the guy running at you with the big camera is right in your
Right.
face. So that's as his star grows, he'll get more and more used to it. Let's talk real quick here about the regional. So Adirondack Weightlifting Regional, April 6th, doubled as the Barbell Club's 10-year anniversary. In the weeks leading up to it, I posted a lot about Barbell Club history. Well, was any of that stuff surprising to you? Was anything that you didn't know about and you're like, oh, I didn't realize that this went on in our club or was a part of the deal that you're a part of?
I wouldn't say so. I don't think anything really was too new to me. I did do before even joining Albany CrossFit as a whole, I did pretty, I guess you could say, extensive research of like all the social medias. So a
Mhm.
lot of those pictures, maybe not all of them that I've seen before, but past members and like everything seemed somewhat familiar. It is interesting though to see just the change in the club throughout time. And yeah, Albany CrossFit Barbell Club will always be, hopefully, always be there. But what the team looks like may shift throughout time. And that's really cool to see, I think. Um,
Different generations.
right.
And it's kind of funny how those earlier generations kind of like helped evolve things to the current iteration, just like how you guys are, of course, we want the Barbell Club to be around forever. Let's say another 10 years, 20-year anniversary, it's going to look totally different, right? But like what you guys are doing now is helping to shape that future. It's pretty cool.
Right. And I think the club molds to the members and what they're doing. Uh, I'm not sure if how the club would look currently if you didn't convince me and Shop to do that first meet in Saratoga. Like, I wonder because now it seems like we have so many outsiders that aren't filtering in directly from CrossFit. We do, of course, still have CrossFit members doubling up and doing both, but we have outside people who were never a part of the gym coming in just to do barbell club with us. And it's so regular now for new members to start. And then, hey, a meet's coming up. Do this meet in the next couple months, and people doing that. And I wonder if the club would have always been that way if you hadn't kind of pushed us into competing first. So it's cool to see how the room has changed, how our training has changed. Even when me and Shaf started, of course, Barbell Club was a shorter amount of time, and it was also 2 days a week instead of 3/4 now as well. And I think again, it just fits the needs of who's in the club and what their goals are. And yeah, it was really cool to see that progression as we were leading up to the meet.
Yeah. 2 days a week works well when people are going to do Metcons the rest of the week and do CrossFit class. But now we have people who are there's no other term but a specialist, right?
Yeah.
This is all they want to do. And like you said, like John, new member, John, he joined just for Barbell Club. Haley joined just for Barbell Club. We're never going to be able to get Haley to do a CrossFit workout unless I sneak it in and don't call it CrossFit workout during Barbell Club. So it's just cool to see, and it's really cool to see the everybody in the club has always been so friendly with one another. We used to have one of the members, Martin Lowney. He would bring his grill and deer and bear that he hunted the weekend before and cook out in the parking lot, and we would eat, after lifting session. Not all the time, but he did it a bunch of times. And so it's like we had people from all different backgrounds, and everybody was always so friendly. But I feel like the relationship that all of you guys have now is different, and I think that that might be because everybody is of a similar age or like very, very close in age. So at times it seems like you guys are all more of like siblings than teammates. I don't
Right.
know if it feels that way or has that appearance to you, but on the outside looking in or just being in the mix, that's what I perceive it as.
Definitely. And I think again that goes into the time that we now put into it. And we over years now know everyone's temperament, how to get on someone's nerves, how to talk them up before a lift, how to throw them off their game before a lift. So,
So psychological warfare.
right.
I would say the psychological warfare has never been this high in the club. There wasn't a time when, it was like Kim and Chuck and Jen and Michelle, where let's say Michelle's gonna almost be about to go to for a PR, and then someone might go, I don't know, like or some other little thing that might, throw them off. But you
Which
guys
is
do it because
it's
you
all in
care.
good fun. Yeah. And we're trying to push past mental blocks that we have up for ourselves. At least that's what we say to kind of strengthen them for when the moment comes and, hopefully things will just bounce off then.
I do have a video that I mean it's on the Instagram page like but next anniversary I'll post more videos or repost more videos that I didn't post this time. So I was going through like the heaviest lifts in the club history, stuff like that. And of course, I didn't get to, by the time the anniversary came, to like your lifts. Like you're the first person at your body weight to snatch 200 pounds, and you're also on the short list of people who have done that. In the history of the gym, especially at your body weight. So you would definitely have a lot of quote historical lifts. But there was one that I had with of Schaff doing some panda pulls and then a snatch from the hip. And this is when he had just gotten his Noble shoes, if you remember that. And this is before COVID. And after one lift, you said something like you're not going to get it or something like that, or maybe you should just make it. And then he didn't make it, and he was so pissed, and he starts yelling at you. It's one of my favorite videos that I'll post in the future.
Like a sarcastic comment. I think I told him something along the lines of like, you probably got this next one
That's it. Yep.
right before he went for that last one. Yeah.
Yep. Like, maybe I think you could probably get that. But then the thing is that he didn't, and it like
Right.
added to it. And of course he was all bent out of shape and whatnot. But then, like we talked about, it's like well, he's got to make that no matter what. Like you're just trying to make him better at that in that moment. You're giving him another obstacle to overcome. And of course, the Noble shoes didn't work out, I think, for anybody.
Yeah. No.
But so yeah, it was cool to reminisce and go through all that stuff. Yeah, did you realize that there were so many people that have been a member of the club when I posted the recap of the listing?
Yeah. Well, it seemed not like casual, but I knew that a lot of people would kind of like hop in barbell club for like a cycle and do a meet and things like that. But yeah, the list was a lot larger than I guess I had previously expected.
136. I was hoping to find 137 just because it's a
Right.
yeah, it's 300. I should have just made up a random thing. I put someone's cat or dog on the listing. I should have put Bree's dog Louis
Yeah.
on the list. That would have got us to 137. Technically, I would count him as a member, you know. But yeah, it was cool to go back and see all the names, because even I had forgotten so many of them. And then as I'm going through the names, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this happened with that person, that happened with
Yeah.
that person. You just have to kind of see the name to kind of jar your memory a little bit. But we had a great time at the regional. Again, it was the birthday celebration for the Barbell Club. All you guys did great. I do want to take a look at that real quick. The So here's all the posts that I made. Our 6 for 6 club is up there. Shout out to Tanzira, most 6 for 6 of any woman on the team. And huh?
She's seen so far, and she's only been on the team for not that long, so
Yeah.
she's got a
She's
lot more to add.
she's gone 6 for 6 3 times, and every time it's been with PRs and stuff. So like it's like you can't like say like like my 6 for 6 is like I have the most 6 for 6 out of any man on the team. But there were also like meets where I was coaching a lot, and I'm like I'm just gonna like make lifts. I'm not gonna, and there was no 6 for 6 thing. It's like, oh, I just made them all. So, but it's like with Tanzira, she's setting lifetime PRs on both lifts multiple times while going 6 for 6 and the total. So that's way more impressive than what I've done. Think it's pretty cool. We had some medalists from the team. Laura Gallery, she got a bronze medal in the Open Women's 76 kilo class and a silver overall for the Masters ladies. So that's pretty cool. And Tanzira, regional champion, talking about Tanzira. Here she is with her gold medal. She left before we could give it to her. And also, I expertly photoshopped her and Laura into this photo. Surprised Noah's made a comment about, how long it took me to do this? This was Renee's idea, by the way. It worked. It worked. I can't believe it worked. Jennifer, now the regional is Jennifer's first meet ever, because not not too long after joining the Barbell Club. Jennifer joined the Barbell Club in January 2022 and did the regional and the 2022, 2023 silver, silver, and then third time's a charm, gold medal at the regional. So that's pretty awesome. Regional champion. Congrats to Jennifer. There's Murph in the background too. Shout out to Murph. He's working, taking apart the platform. Haley, three-peat, right? I think we were talking about this. Three-peat regional champion, gold medalist for Haley. I believe in multiple weight classes as well, because I think the first one was 76, and then now we're up in 81. Could be wrong. Mike, silver medal in the men's 81 kilo class. And I had taken several photos of Mike, but of course, you have to use this one. How can I not use this one? Josh getting in there. And Mike had just got done lifting upstairs too in the weight room. So of course, he's all veiny and jacked. John, first weightlifting meet and gold medal in the men's 81 kilo class. Mike, this is the podium Mike should be on. So actually, I should have edited him into this one, and then that would have been weird having Josh's hand there too. But they were the 81 kilo men, so we took both medals for that one. John's been making great progress. There's Miguel. And there's my coaching book because you had the race to help to get Alex warmed up doing EMOM style warm-ups for him because I was pulled away from the medal ceremony. And then I had to pull teeth to get you over here to take the photo. That's when I go into mom or dad mode. I'm like, we need a photo. But that was fun. And also a three-peat for you, correct?
Yep.
And these are all 67 kilo class, right?
Yeah, because it typically falls right after the Arnold. So I do not want to cut weight again.
Yep. Makes sense. And Alex, speaking of Alex, regional champion as well, gold medal. This was his first meet. And, as we know, in your first meet, you don't have to wear a singlet, just shorts and a t-shirt will work out, which means in Alex's next meet, we will get him in a singlet. And I think some kind of cool anime style singlet would be pretty awesome. Maybe
Would be fitting, yeah.
it would be very fitting. Like I think they have ones where it's like Goku's body or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Definitely should do that. Chuck, blast from class, came in to say hello. It was great to see him. Were you surprised when you saw him there?
I figured that he was going to show up, but it was nice to talk to him. It had been a while.
Yeah. Since just before COVID, right?
Yep.
That was the last time, whenever our last barbell club was just before COVID, was literally the last time I saw him in person. So
Yeah.
it had been that long. I've spoken to him on Facebook Messenger, just checking in to see how he's doing. But that was cool. And of course, the donut. I had taken two home. I was going to freeze one, and then I ended up eating both of them because it wasn't going to happen. But uh, yeah, it was a great meet. I had started planning this whole celebration after our eight-year anniversary on just like brainstorming things, and I had a lot of good feedback on it. You guys all did a fantastic job, not only in your lifting, but also everybody in the club coming to help move equipment and just get set up for it. So that was great. You did some coaching yourself. You coached an athlete that is Jim Storch's athlete, who he's been on the podcast way, way, way long ago. So that was great that you got to do that. Let's talk a little bit about your experience with the coaching an athlete that you had never met before.
Yeah, it was definitely a new experience. I really enjoy coaching at weightlifting meets. I do find that perhaps it's a little bit easier than just coaching weightlifting overall. It's more about just getting a gauge of how your athlete feels and counting essentially the attempts out there. And I've always had sort of an eye for it, even before officially being a coach, I believe, having my weightlifting L1 or L2, um, where you were kind of giving me tips to help you out while coaching other athletes. So I feel
Yeah,
very
my last
comfortable.
meet, Christmas and Kilos 2020, you were the one that was doing my numbers, or we were kind of co doing it.
Right. Yeah. So from that standpoint, it's comfortable. That's kind of a second nature to me, just counting the attempts and going along that way. It is very different with an athlete that you meet at that moment. So I was very grateful and thankful that Lou was able to trust me in this process, and I was able to learn from her and she learned me, and we were able to get a lot done. It was a good meet for her as well, so
Yeah,
felt good.
she broke a Masters New York State record at that meet. So that I believe in the snatch.
Yeah,
So
in the
that's
snatch.
pretty cool, pretty cool. And Jim Storch had a lot of nice feedback, after the fact, and just that's kind of a legendary figure in New York weightlifting overall. So it was cool when I was talking to him about it that he knew who Miguel was, and he's met you before and talked to you, and he was totally cool with you taking the reins on his athlete and like trusting you as well. Like that's got to feel nice where like someone like that's just like, oh yeah, I know Miguel. He's good lifter, knows what he's doing. Awesome, let's do that.
We had actually shared a platform while he was competing and I was coaching Mike and Schaff at the Central Regional last year, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, he's seen me in coaching action with my coaching visor on. So
Did you have the visor on at the regional?
I did.
Okay.
It was in a regular kind of formation though, because Lou stressed me out a lot less than Mike and Schaff did. So
Well, when you get stressed, you start just moving it around your head.
right, it has to flip in orientation, goes all around.
That's funny. It's funny you said that earlier on. You really enjoy coaching at meets. It's but like once you get into like hairier situations, there's some things that like really stress you out. Like one of them, of course, like the clock is running out, or like, oh crap, we so the half the board just jumped. It's like
Right,
all the things that I hate about coaching at like a meet have nothing to do with like you guys. It's more of just like all the elements that like I have no say in it. Like, oh, everybody decided to go up 5 kilos, and now we either have to rush our warm-ups, skip our warm-ups, or we have to go up 2. Well, I didn't decide that. The competition decided that,
right.
and I just don't like that. But it's just one of those things that you just have to roll with. And then there's of course, I would say the biggest thing that I dislike about competition overall is if you like, we're not a lucky team. Like I told you guys this recently. Like we don't get the calls where like you have a big press out and there's like, oh yeah, white lights. So
Right.
it's painful to see you guys like get like the top standard, but then the lift after you was a clear press out, but they got a white light. Like they got 2 or they got all 3 white lights. So like, I guess that's like my biggest pet peeve. Because then I feel like you guys are being attacked and I go into mama bear mindset again. Like it's like that's just how it feels. Like it's impossible not to feel that way, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Well, any other thoughts on the regional overall or the anniversary or anything like that?
Yeah, it went the setup and breaking down went really smooth. And I feel like that's because we have such a complete team. Not that it was incomplete before, but we have so many members now that are in-house that were able to the night before all just kind of hang out while we like, wipe down the medals and
Yeah.
set up the prize table, things like that. So it was definitely a lot less stressful, I would say, from our end as an as athletes. I don't know for you with added pressure of it being the anniversary and everything, but yeah, I think it was smooth all around, and I think everyone had a great time.
So I do have a video that I need to put somewhere eventually of Alex moving the wood and Murph yelling at Alex to move the wood and also talking about how he's so strong so he can carry the wood by himself. That whole thing. But yeah, it's do you find that coming in the night before to do little setup things like that? And of course, the wood situation was way less stressful for everybody because we didn't have to hike it from across the building downstairs. It's literally just moving it right next door. And I think Murph and I were the ones that moved it out. So you guys just had to help put it back. But do you find being there the night before and being part of setup helps at all with nerves, or just being in the competition environment and knowing that you had a hand setting it up, so now the next day it's just like you're just back home, back in the same situation?
Um, I'm not sure about the nerves part. I think overall it's a sense of pride where you know that so many people are coming to your gym to compete and you want to make sure that you can help out as much as you can, um, and show it off for how great it is. So I think that that helps, and I think that helps when we're lifting at the regional as well, where yeah, it's pride. You're in your home. I always make the joke of the team awards as well. Um, but overall, just as individual performances, I think we all kind of find another gear that even though it is a quick turnaround from the Arnold, and we all feel how we feel after that, and
Yeah.
we still are able to come out and be a part of something for our club. So yeah, I think overall, all of us coming together, I would say, the night before makes it enjoyable. Um,
It's almost like a mini
and
team meeting the night before, even though
y-
like it's not structured. It's like we're all just around each other.
right, exactly. And now with this being the third year that we've done it as well, each year the moving the wood becomes easier. It gets closer and closer each year that we've done it. So
Eventually, it's
this
just not going to
was
leave the triple. It's just like, oh, it
right.
just we just have a platform here.
So yeah, it's fun and it's good for all of us to get together. I think the night before a competition, it's almost like the Arnold feel where we all come together first and then are able to support each other as we compete the next day.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't say I was stressed out at all. If anything, I was relieved that it's there and about to be done. Because like I said, I had been, you put things on your to-do list, and I'm like the longer it stays on my to-do list, the more anguish it causes me. Like I just like to get things, like, all right, let's do that, let's do that. So I had started putting things on my to-do list for this meet after the eighth year post that I put up about happy birthday for the Barbell Club. I'm like, all right, this is something I want to do. Of course, we're not going to do it on the 9 year, like it's just like a 10-year thing. So just all the brainstorming for that, and just also that compounded with the Arnold, those are two really major things. And I had my own personal goals from the Arnold where I was gonna let them work me to death so I can get enough credits to do the national ref type stuff. So it's like it was nice just to have it be done. And that night before, I didn't go to bed. Like I laid down at around 3, but I can't tell you if I actually fell asleep, or not. And then I was up at 4, or up at yeah 4, because I had to go get the donuts and all that other stuff and then figure out how to tie a tie, because I finally tied a tie for the first time in my adult life by myself without having to find someone. I'm like, I'm not waiting until Joe Rod gets there at 7 to put this tie on. So I did it myself. But it was a relief to get it done. I would say just more exhausting than anything. I'd sat down at 7 to just check my messages and stuff on my phone. And at that point, I was like, yeah, they're good, right? Like if I just went home now, like that'd be fine, right? But like the meat kind of runs itself. So it's like I was like like relieved after like the weigh-in first, once the first weigh-in started, I was like, it's done. That's it. Like all I have to do is make sure I'm in the right place at the right time now and have faith in all of the volunteers come and help out, that they'll be where they need to do. So it doesn't have to be a stressful situation of like, oh crap. Oh, I'm the only one available to go ref. And you're gonna have to do your own numbers. Like none of that happened. It just was so smooth. Everybody was so supportive. All of you guys did a fantastic job on your lifts, and I just kind of had to be there and really enjoy it. Like I would say I enjoyed this meet not more so than other meets because like everything was just working so beautifully.
Yeah, and I think as we do it, it seems as though we're all leveling up as well. So I feel like in my head, Haley's always like head ref, like middle judge is how I think of Haley at most meets.
Judge
And
Dredd.
right, and Schaff also helps out with weigh-ins as well as Haley. And I feel like throughout time, I mean Frank has his own athletes as well. Um, I can help out more with coaching as we go along too. And yeah, so I think maybe as our club grows as well, your hopefully your load won't increase in these moments because we're able to take some of that off of you. Like that's kind of the goal for me as well, where maybe we can help out a little bit more behind the scenes with setting up this meet. But for now, helping out reffing and weigh-ins and coaching is something that we can like kind of take off your plate to that level.
No, I agree. A great example, you mentioned it earlier, was Frank's meet the year before the Central New York Weightlifting Regional. Uh, at that meet, I was speaking on the mic, and have I ever told you about this surreal moment I had at that meet?
Not sure.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't think I've mentioned this to anybody, but there was at one point where I was sitting behind the mic and the meet was going on, and this was during the women's session. So this is when Haley was lifting, and I believe Tracy was lifting too. So Tracy Meyer, she's on Sona Weightlifting's team now, but she is an OG from our club, right? And I used to coach her and travel out to Binghamton to coach her and all that stuff out there. So at one point, I'm watching from behind the mic, there's like a 2 minute clock, and everything kind of slows down on a 2 minute clock. I'm watching through a crack in the curtain, you coaching Haley, and Schaff is there and Mike is there, and you guys are all interacting so wonderfully with one another. And then I look over and Frank is coaching Tracy, and Tracy is back out on the platform. And it's like just seeing three different generations kind of from the barbell club all doing their thing. And I could just kind of just hang out here and watch. And I'm like, this is freaking cool. Like it's cool to have it be sustainable like that. Even with Tracy no longer being on the club, just seeing her still lifting and seeing one of my athletes who has formed his own club, and he's now, ahead of that community, coaching her and you coaching them, and you all started with me, but like to see you all grow to that level, I was like, this is wild. Like, who gets to see this? This is so cool.
Right. And it's all through our like shared love of the sport where maybe, yeah, we will all fall into roles as time progresses where we're currently athletes and, you know, add on whatever we want to do. And maybe as athletes become the secondary part, we can lean more into coaching or reffing or different levels here and there. And it's great because I think what happens a lot with people in sports and competing, like I know a lot of people who come from high school sports or college sports, they lose their love of the sport because of like a coach that kind of made it not fun or had things rub them the wrong way. So for us, it's great where we're in an environment where no matter how we feel about ourselves lifting, we still have the love of the sport and want to be a part of it in some way.
Yeah. I think we have, I mean, my goal is always to have an environment where one, it's fun, you know. Uh I like you guys come in and you're tired and I'm tired, you know, but maybe I can say something silly that makes everybody laugh and that changes something, you know. Or we're just talking about ridiculous things because, you know, life is very serious. There's a lot of serious stuff going on in the world. It doesn't need to be happening right now. We can just have fun right now. And also having a culture of feedback and learning. You know, like yes, go get your level one. You know, Tanzira and Haley are going to go get their USAW level ones next weekend. You know, I won't be there. I'm not worried about that coach teaching it, stealing them. You know, I'm not worried about any of that stuff. It's like I want them to go and learn and be better. And I'm not when any guys do that stuff, I'm not what's the defensive about it? Like, oh no, no, I gotta be like it's all gotta come from me. I gotta be the one and only, stuff like that. And I've heard stories from out there of coaches who have their athletes like firmly under their thumb. It's like you only grow if I want you to grow or do something like that. And it's like just like with CrossFit, weightlifting should be open source. You know, I'm not going to hold anything back from you. I have no secrets. You know exactly how I do things to the point where you can probably guess where the programming is going to go. But that just means you're informed and educated. And I think that leads to better athletes, better future coaches and gym owners, and hopefully to some small effect, better people too, because we want to have weightlifting and this whole thing that we're doing in the gym make us better out in the real world, you know. And we have seen that a lot in the club on where people start off and they're a little more timid or meek. And you, when you see people or weightlifting empower them to be a strong person, you know, whether it be to ask for a raise at their job or something, like that's cool. You know, in many ways, that's way more cool than like, you know, so many other things in the sport, you know, going to the Olympics. All right, all right. That is pretty darn cool. I don't know. It's probably like on my screen now, but so people didn't get to see the face you made. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Miguel, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on. We talked about a lot of stuff Barbell Club related. It's been a while since we've done a big like Albany CrossFit Barbell Club discussion and recap and update. And of course, I think the last meet we did that for was the Arnold, maybe the regional last year. We tried to do one after Frank's meet. Remember the Lost episode?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep. There was an episode with you, Schaff, and Haley where I forgot to push record. And all right, yeah, I pushed record on this one. I just had to check now. That would have been wild. But so yeah, it's great to see the progress on everyone. And what we're gonna do in future episodes here is we're gonna talk about coaching related things, dive more into coaching theory and practice and CrossFit and weightlifting, current events, all kinds of stuff. So I'm excited to keep talking to you about all these things and maybe you know this is one of those things where maybe eventually you've got your own mic Porter's podcast and you're out there just talking to the world, you know. Uh the reason that I'm able to at these weightlifting meets talk on the microphone and do that job is because I started doing this podcast. You know, I never would have been comfortable doing that. Like it may not seem like it, but I'm a pretty introverted person unless I don't have to be or don't want to be. And it's taken a while to get to the point where I'm okay with being on film and putting it on YouTube for everybody to see, or even just talking on the podcast and having my voice out there, or being at the Arnold, you know, talking on the microphone and there's hundreds of people out there and all these weightlifting people that I highly respect. And I also don't know who celebrity type person is out there. You know, it's could never have done it without deciding during COVID to turn on the microphone and try. You know, so that's like another way that weightlifting like makes you stronger and better, even though it's just podcasting, not weightlifting. It still comes from, you know, being involved in it. Because if I wasn't involved in CrossFit weightlifting, I wouldn't be doing a podcast, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like it's just a cool thing. So we'll see where it takes Miguel Porter too.
Yeah. Let's see. I gotta start looking up some podcast equipment.
Yeah, yeah. Which I don't have. I have the laptop, these guys, and a Yeti mic. That's all I have. We're gonna tune in next time, and you're gonna have like the panels on the wall, dark lit it. You know, like actually, Mike has a pot like the podcast studio. Mike's got it.
Yeah, the whole like gaming setup. I'm sure
Yeah.
my roommate's room is similar as well.
Oh, really? You're gonna have to
Yeah.
hijack his room now for
Yeah.
future podcasts. He's like, I'd like to go to bed. I'm sorry, we're talking about the World Championships.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Miguel. Thank you for coming on to be the co-host. Where can people follow Miguel Porter outside of the Albany CrossFit Barbell Club Instagram page?
Yeah. Just my other Instagram page, couldn't be Miguel at couldn't be Miguel on Instagram. I'll try to post more weightlifting stuff on there. We'll see how the summer goes.
Let's see how summer goes. Yeah, we haven't talked about upcoming meets and stuff yet. That's a whole other discussion. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Miguel, and we will do this again really soon.